of the characters that were spotlighted in the show are not even comic characters. So I thought it was fantastic that they were able to capture that feel without even using or reusing, I should say, the material.
I agree.
So this is a perfect opportunity to play Brad's recorded audio. He, again, regrets that he couldn't be here to talk about it with us in person, but he left a little sound file for us to play, so here goes.
Hello, fellow co-hosts and fellow listeners of the Walking Dead TV podcast. This is Brad. Sorry I couldn't make it to the episode tonight, but I'm working late, so I got to pay the bills, you know. This episode gets 4.5 busters from me. I liked it a lot. I really, really liked it. I like the fact that this story can have character-centric episodes and not so many zombies. You know, I love zombies as much as the next person, but the fact that the comic to me is a character-driven story, that's what The Walking Dead is. This episode played into that nicely. Some really great character moments here. I like the fact that we kind of have an answer about who is the catalyst of the situation, the problem with Lori and Shane. I guess we now know that Shane's the douchebag, which is funny because that was a funny scene where he was calling Merle Dixon a douchebag, and his brother says, "Did you choose your words?" He goes, "No, douchebag, that's what I meant to say." I thought that was funny, but I guess we know now that the only reason Lori was hooking up with Shane is because Shane said, "Your husband's dead." So anyway, I'm glad that's kind of cleared up for me. Great episode, good action. I'm really starting to like the character Merle because, you know, he's just a big pansy at heart. And then, I mean, obviously I saw the end coming, but it was good. It was good. I'm happy with it. I liked it. I wish I could be there to talk about it with you guys. As you can tell, I'm surrounded by frogs right now, and it's kind of creepy. There's this one that keeps making this weird noise. I'm not really not sure it's a frog, but, you know, who knows? It might be a frog. Anyway, I want to thank the listeners for tweeting in and emailing and voicemailing. I think it's awesome. I'm glad that you guys enjoy the show as much as we do. Please continue to do that, and thanks for all the podcast love, and I hope to be on next week's episode. Thanks, guys.
So I'm going to say that Brad got his frog sound effect the same place that I got my Tweeting Dead sound effect, and they're both pretty lame. I don't know what's going on with that frog. There's that one frog that's like saying a word.
Sounds like doom.
Yeah,
doom.
yeah. That was weird. But thanks, Brad.
A banjo, I don't know.
We appreciate you getting your thoughts in, even though you couldn't make it. Okay, everyone, so here's the deal. We lost about half of our original recording. The synopsis that you heard of the episode and everything prior to that was recorded on Monday night, and we lost the back end. So now we're back on Tuesday night, and we're going to do our voicemails and tweets and everything else that we originally had done. So we lost half the show, but we did gain a Milo, which is pretty cool. We have Brad on the phone now. Hello, Brad.
Hey, sorry about the 1.0 audio here, but yeah, the show's much better when I'm on it, so let's do this.
Agreed. And Jordan is still here with us. Jordan is, that was kind of laughable. Jordan is here. Russ is hopefully on his way, and we did lose Jim in the day carryover, but we will carry on. So we're going to go to our voicemails right now. The first thing I'd like to do is mention a young lady named Reese. We appreciate Reese calling in. She called in twice, which is lovely, but unfortunately I could not hear the audio on either of them. It must have been either a cell phone issue or a Skype thing or however, but so I apologize to Reese. Call in again sometime, and hopefully it'll work out better.
If you couldn't hear the audio, how do you know it was her?
I heard her name in the beginning. It was all down. It was downhill from there. Okay, so here is another try.
Hey there, this is Kyle Hebert from Burbank, California. Walking Dead, episode 3. Really, really great stuff. Man, Michael Rooker as Merle Dixon, man, that's a tour de force right there. Great stuff. After, you know, you wanted him to die and be left to the zombies, and then suddenly, you know, he's turning this performance where suddenly you actually kind of feel for the guy and everything. I really like the amped up interactions between the people. Not a lot of zombie action, believe it or not, in the episode, but, you know, great performances all around to see the dynamics. You know, Rick Grimes gets back with his wife and everything. You see the stress, the torment going on, the misogynist husband, and I like seeing that smackdown going on there at the end. That was great. Like, oh yeah, take that one there, cousin. So great stuff. It's a shame that we're already halfway through season 1, man. I can't believe that. I've never read the comic, but I'm a huge fan of the show. Huge fan. I love this show. It's amazing, the dynamic, and I love that it's on AMC, so we get an unfettered look. It gets a nice gore and all that. So Walking Dead, the stakes are amping up. Love where it's going.
All right, thanks, Kyle. One of the kind of ongoing themes between all the different people we talk to on Twitter and voicemails and stuff like that is, you know, all of a sudden they love the character of Merle, or they're interested in where it's going, and that's a big turnaround from Guts, I would say.
Did you played my little audio file with my thoughts earlier, right?
Of course we did.
Yeah, I know I said something about it, but I'll say it again. I really felt for Merle when he started crying like a baby, you know, help me Jesus, that whole bit. And, you know, I was really like, okay, this is going to be a one-note character. And it turned out he's just a big pansy, like I said. And I think I really added to his character, and then it just made me not mind his character. I'll put it that way. And, I'm especially looking forward to see him a hand short.
Also, you know, we've beaten this to death, but I think it's pretty important. If you love the tone of this episode, you really need to check out the comic. I mean, this one I think really captured the spirit of the comic the most out of the first 3.
I would totally agree. You know, this, and I think I mentioned it at the risk of repeating myself. This was a character-driven episode, and that's to me, that's the strength of the Walking Dead story, of the characters. So I would agree 100%. If you like this, I think you'll love the book as well.
All right, let's try another.
Hey guys, this is Victor from the Exploring Multiverse video podcast. So I'd give you guys a call and give my quick thoughts on the past Walking Dead episode. Right away, I want to give it just shy of 5 busters. I love the episode. I like the fact that it developed the storyline a lot more. You know, we only saw, like 3 instances of zombies in the whole episode. You know, it shows a lot for the show of, like, this is character-driven, and it's not about the zombies. So I love the episode. It's just moving along at a right pace for me. And even to say how much the show crosses over to a multitude of people. I have my wife watching it with me, and she's loving it. And I even have my in-laws watching it, and they got on their DVR now because they're just loving the show. So thought it was great, and you guys are trucking along, doing a great podcast. So keep up the good work. See you later.
Thanks, Victor. Everybody check out the Exploring the Multiverse video cast. Really fun stuff. A bunch of guys sitting around a room drinking beer and talking about geek stuff. A lot of fun. Have any of you guys had any luck getting non-genre family and friends into the show, and what have they thought?
Well, I showed first 2 episodes, I guess, to a couple friends of mine who they never read the book. They're not comic readers. They're not huge into zombies. Like, I didn't get a negative sense of zombies from them, but they both enjoyed it. I know one of my sister's friends is over right now. And we were just talking before we recorded that she watched the pilot and she said that was it for her. She could tell it was very well made, but she just couldn't handle the violence, which I understand. Other than that, I haven't had too many non-comic or comic-friendly people that I've talked to about it so far, but I hope to have many more conversations in real life as the show goes along.
I have a few friends that I've introduced to The Walking Dead through the TV show, both of which have not read the comics. The one girl watched the pilot with her husband, and they are now reading my Walking Dead hardcovers. They liked it so much after one episode, they said, yeah, we got to read these books. So I got a couple of converts that way. And then another guy named Brian, he hadn't even heard about the show until right before, like the Sunday the third episode aired. I was talking to him about it. He had never even heard about the show, so I told him about it, and he says that's something he's definitely going to watch. So it is appealing to the non-comic book reader. I think that's really, really sweet.
Yeah, I'm not having as much luck. I've only tried with my wife, who has pretty much stood there appalled and shaking her head at me, much like she does when I watch foreign kung fu movies or, cartoons. Anywho, let's try another one. This is from our buddy Alan, Zero Fights on Twitter.
Hey guys, this is Alan from UK, Zero Fights on Twitter. I just finished watching the latest episode of The Walking Dead. Not much zombie action, but a great episode focused on the characters. I think this show will have some sort of alternating episodes of intense action, just like we saw in The Guts, and an episode where we focus on the character just like this episode. I don't get the meaning of the title. In many culture, frog symbolizes wealth, fertility, and fortune. Does the title bear any significance other than the frog hunting of Shane and Carl? Is the episode referring to someone or a number of people since it's frogs, plural? Frog is an amphibian who is able to adapt into conditions, land and water. Could it be that the frog refers to Shane, who arrives in the camp and then goes back to Atlanta, or refers to Laurie, who is torn between two guys, or perhaps Dixon, who is between life and death? Anyway, I'll let you guys discuss about that. I'm looking forward for more zombies.
All right, thanks, Alan. I didn't think that the title had any more significance than just the line that Laurie gave Shane. I know, like a show like Lost, for instance, the title was kind of like a cool little addition to the show where you'd have to figure out why the show was called that, and then something would kind of reveal it during the episode. But I didn't think anything more than that.
No, I have a feeling he just probably missed the one reference to the title in the episode. Tell us the frogs. I don't think it has any meaning other than that.
I'm in the same camp. I think the dude's thinking a little too hard about it, and probably, like Jordan said, just missed her saying it. So, then again, I don't like to think too hard about most things, so who knows, he may be on something.
And what do you guys think about the alternating kind of action and then character-driven episodes? Do you think that's intentional at this point, or that's just kind of the way it's gone in the first three?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was intentional for the first three. I don't see them sticking to any set formula like that in the future. If the story calls for action, they're going to do action, and if it calls for something more character-driven, I think that's what they're going to do. So far, they need to set everybody up and give the viewers a kind of a microcosm of the entire feel of the show. And now they've had a really character-driven episode, a really action-driven episode, and like we were saying before, this one which is kind of the perfect feel for The Walking Dead. So I think now that they've gotten to this feel, they'll probably stick closer to it, but you could have ones that skew one way or the other. You never know.
Well, like we said before, the book works the same way. Sometimes you'll have an issue that's just nothing but zombie action, and then sometimes there's an issue that goes by and you might see one zombie. So I don't think it's out of line at all for the feel of the book to have varying episodes like that either.
Very cool. So thanks again for those voicemails. Once again, our voicemail is 516-468-7912. We love to hear your guys' reactions to the show, after it airs, and we usually do our recording on Monday night, so you got about 24 hours after you watch the show to send us a call. So thanks again. And I am going to send this over to Jordan, who is going to read through some emails.
Sure, I've got the emails right here. And before we get to the emails, there's actually one bit of news that's come in since we recorded the first half of the episode with the news there, and that is a rumor. Let's just say for sure it's a rumor. I haven't seen it confirmed by AMC anywhere, although it makes perfect sense. But the rumor is that the show will not return for season 2 until next Halloween. That the rumor continues to say that AMC really, really liked the promotion they were able to get out with their Fear Fest, their kind of a horror movie film festival that goes on for the entire month of October, or just a week before, I'm not sure. It worked really well to get people watching The Walking Dead, and it's when they get pretty much their highest viewership in terms of movies. So they want to be able to use the same exact effect next year. Like I said, just a rumor, but so far what we think is that the next season won't be back until next Halloween, which I'm fine with. What do you guys think about that?
That's a sucky rumor. I hate it.
Yeah.
I want to wait a whole dang year.
Especially since that means, 45 weeks of shows without a TV show to talk about.
Well, we can always start covering the league if you want.
No, we will
I
not.
don't see any reason for them to have to wait. I mean, I understand the marketing of Halloween and whatnot, but what I realized was I said the word what not a lot, and I want to apologize to the listeners for that, because I know that's beautiful. No, seriously, that's a sucky rumor. I hate it. Don't make me wait.
Well, here's another thing that kind of supports the rumor, Brad, and I don't know if this will change your opinion at all or not, but we'll see. AMC, they have awesome original programming, but they only play it on Sunday nights, or that's when they debut everything, right? So Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Rubicon for its one season. They've got a couple other shows coming up next year that look pretty interesting. Mad Men always plays the same time, right until pretty much before Walking Dead started. It was like a week before, I think. Breaking Bad usually plays in the spring. It's going to go back to early summer this year, right before Mad Men, and they've got their new shows in the spring. Now, Walking Dead, Walking Dead wouldn't be finished, even if they started now, it wouldn't be finished and ready to go in the spring when those other new shows that are already being filmed right now are going to air. And they've already had Breaking Bad and Mad Men established. So as long as they stick with we play new programs on Sunday night, because that's when there's an open slot across TV pretty much. There is no room for The Walking Dead until October. So logistically for them, if they want to stick with their normal spiel, that's what they have to do. But does that change anything for you?
Well, they've never played like two new shows on the same night. It's always been you play one season of a new show and then you start show B.
They did Rubicon and Mad Men at the same time.
Then I say do Walking Dead and some other show at the same time. Don't make me wait till October. I don't want to wait till October.
Let me put it this way. I'd rather wait till October and have 13 awesome episodes than get it early and have 13 half-ass episodes. You know what I mean?
He doesn't want to wait until October.
3 or 4 months will really make a difference between the quality of episodes.
But they've got to have that CG chicken we're not supposed to spoil.
I just don't want to wait.
Let's go to the emails.
I do not blame you for not waiting. But yes, let's get to the emails. We've got a couple. Some of them are very long.
What if I'm not going to complain about waiting?
Continue, sir.
Tell it to the frogs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Continue.
Alrighty, so first off, we have an email from Jason. I don't know if this is Jason from one of our fellow podcasts at the Walking Dead Podcast Network, ForumForGeeks.com. I think it is because of a line he says in this that reminds me of the episodes, but he says, this episode gets a solid 4 out of 5. Vatos, which is episode number 4, will get an 11. So based on that, I think he's from one of the other shows, but I can't say for sure. I forget his last name. Then Courtney sent us a very long email that I'm going to skip some parts of just because I do need sleep eventually. But she says, hey guys, first gotta say I really enjoyed the podcast. Episodic, bonus, and otherwise, so keep them coming. Merle, we knew you had problems, buddy, but not quite to this extent. I'm talking, of course, of that great opening we got of Dixon still on the roof and acting completely wackadoodle. She says, I was kind of freaking out when last week's episode ended with Glenn's blaring car alarm was shrieking and probably being heard from far and wide. I wanted him to stop and shut it off before he led the army of undead back to everyone else. Glad we got the little explanation about the sound carrying in the canyon so they were okay.
I also like that explanation that Dale came up with.
Yeah, Dale was very, very pragmatic in this episode. Made a lot of good observations about things.
I also like to congratulate that listener on her successful use of the word wackadoodle.
Yes. So she says she's not sure what to think about Lori at this point. From her reactions, I take back my early speculation that she was carrying on with Shane before everything. Still leaning towards dislike with Lori. Yes, she thought her husband was gone and dead. People were walking around, but sure, that's going to make everyone freak out, and I hate that she hooked up with Shane and then Rick last night. I'm not ready to trust her yet. Shane I have issues with, but I'm glad he beat that abusive jerk's ass. Granted, it became less about the jerk and more about Shane's misplaced, let's say, projected aggression. Whose face was he picturing? Rick's for not dying and leaving Shane to step into his shoes on all fronts, or his own for being lying, cowardice, horrible friend? Last thing, was it me, or were they all going about saying things the wrong way and telling Daryl about Merle? There's got to be a more tactful way of saying your brother's a jerk and we left him handcuffed and surrounded by zombies. Anyway, love the show. Can't believe we only have 3 episodes left. I give this one 4.5 busters. Looking forward to the podcast.
Courtney is known also as Jen Deeve on Twitter, and she is one of our many faithful retweeters and followers and promoters of the show. So thanks to her for contributing and spreading the word.
Hey, did y'all talk about Buster, the absence of Buster yet?
No, we really didn't, and it was clearly because you weren't around, so it's very disappointing.
Where? I don't get it. Where's Buster? I mean, I've done my research, and Buster is played by a man named, I believe his name is Joe Giles. I found his Facebook page. He's got an IMDb page, and he is credited for Zombie in 2 episodes, which is kind of disappointing because I really wanted him to be there all the time. But we've yet to see him. I'm hoping maybe we'll see him next episode because they're still in Atlanta. I don't think Buster's going to leave Atlanta because there's so much action going on there, right?
Probably not. Brad, maybe this is why it's a bit of providence that season 2 is being delayed a little bit. Not delayed a little bit, but won't be around. We have time to start a campaign to get Buster on the show as a full-time cast member.
That would be awesome. Yeah. No, I've got some ideas. I'm going to be writing Frank Darabont.
3 Bs, bring back Buster.
You know, when they canceled, what's the show, Jericho, they had people sending in nuts to CBS because that was something that happened in the show. When Caprica got canceled, there was a campaign to send in apples. Maybe we should cut off our hands and send them in AMC.
You go first.
You do that.
And ladies and gentlemen, as we have kind of tried to explain that this is our second night of recording this episode, we have now brought back, I should say, Mr. Jim Dietz. Hello, Jim.
Hi, everybody.
How are things in the future?
Oh, they're just dandy. We have flying cars, robot dogs. It's really great.
Jordan's kids are the problem, aren't they?
They are. It's your kids, Jordan. They're the problem.
I'll go get my tube side tomorrow.
How about another email?
So then we got an email from Aaron from California. He said, I really enjoyed the 3rd episode of the series. Now that we've had both the awesome setup establishing Rick and an episode devoted to showing us lots of zombie action, this is the tone I want to see the series take, and we of course agree. This episode does a lot of great character work while still having the zombies as a presence in the background for the most part. Finally getting to the camp and living with these people was nice. I was enjoying the drama involving Shane and Lori, although I don't think Lori's going to get any more fans. I was also surprised by how effective the cold open was. Merle's character, who I hated last week, was actually redeemed to an extent, as he was pushed to his limits, followed by that awesome reveal at the end. Looking forward to see the season stay on track for the next 3 episodes. 4 busters.
I don't know that Lori didn't gain any new fans to the show.
I started my shrine.
I think it really redeemed her, or it certainly swerved it from what we might have been thinking the first 2 shows.
It definitely changed my opinion of her. I mean, again, it's possible to repeat myself. She thought her husband was dead for crying out loud. She told us as listeners, this a-hole told me my husband was dead, and this is why I did what I did.
And we have one last email from Austin, who was the one who mentioned the Gary Busey lookalike with Buster there. We'll get to that at the end of this email. But he says, I love the podcast. I've not read the comic, but I plan to after season 1 ends. I think you should consider having someone on the show that isn't familiar with the comics or the show. I don't always have the same impressions that you have. I like that you have the ability to contrast the comic, but you may gain something from someone who doesn't have all the knowledge you do. For example, Lori does seem self-interested, but not to the point that she'll elicit the kind of reactions you've had. I know you know from the comic that she will turn out to be an epic, explicit deleted, but I feel that you're coloring my impression of the show a little too much. I think I may hold off until the end of the season to listen to the rest of the recap episodes. With that said, once again, great show, Aaron. P.S. He says, he attached an image. He says, read the attached image. Buster is clearly a Busey, and I'm pretty sure that the first Walker to realize in episode 2 that our blood-splattered heroes weren't walkers themselves was Dwight from The Office. But honestly, that's impossible. There's no way Dwight would be caught unprepared. So thank you, Austin, and everybody else for the emails. If you would like your email read on a future show, you can send an email to comments@walkingdeadtv.com.
We're kind of getting the hang now of separating the 2. It was probably a little bit harder earlier on where we didn't have any of the information from the TV show yet. We were just kind of introduced to the TV show version, and we began to kind of extrapolate our own connections, to the comic book and stuff. But as the show goes on and we see how it's being done differently, hopefully we can separate the 2 better.
Just a couple comments from me. Again, I think I said this maybe in one of the first 2 episodes. I never had a problem with Lori in the comic. Never, not once. I liked her character. I cared about what was going on with her. I never experienced any of the Lori hate that the Pamp and Mr. Deeks have expressed. I don't understand it, quite frankly, because she's just a worry wart. If that makes you hate somebody, then get a life. But not you, Jim. I know you have a life. I know you don't need any more. I wasn't picking on you personally, but I don't want somebody to get an impression of the character being a certain way in a book when they're not that way in the book. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't hate her in the book, but I hear where everybody's coming from. And we really can't get into how she was used in the book or how she kind of went about her business and what ends up happening. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
I dig it too. I also wanted to say that I like her actually better in the series so far than the way she was portrayed in the book. She seems more forthright and not as I can't really go into specifics without spoiling anything. But I mean, she in the book she comes off as very demanding and very needy and very there are a lot of traits she has in the book that I'm seeing that aren't really being expressed in her character in the show.
I would agree with that, Jim. I think that's a fair description of the difference between the show and the book. One other comment I would like to say, we've heard several people say, I'm going to start reading the books once the season is over and read up to where they make it at the end of the season. If these next 3 episodes of the season follow the same kind of tempo and straying off of the path and back onto the path type of deal that the first 3 have, and you're going to, in the hiatus, you're going to read the comics and catch up to the point they are in the series, you're not going to have a lot of comics to read. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and they really don't follow at all. I mean, sure, you're going to see Rick return to camp, and you're going to see him in the hospital early on, but all of this stuff on the roof and the Dixon brothers and I don't know. Everything else is pretty much going in its own direction right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be really, really surprised if the events of the first 6 issues, especially stuff that happens in the last issue of that first trade issue, number 6 of the book, I'm going to be surprised if we see any of that in these first 6 episodes of the series. I'll be very, very surprised if that happens.
All right, so I guess that brings us to one of our favorite segments. Yes, it's the tweeting dead. I love that sound effect more probably than anyone, but I'm going to keep playing it.
Because you created it, right?
I did create it. Okay, first things first. On Twitter in the last couple of weeks, I had been noticing the huge influx of Norman Reedus fans that have begun, we'll call it hanging around the Walking Dead hashtag. And I had no idea that he had this big a following. And it's really cool because I kind of see the connection. Like, we're the big comic book fans, right? And we're really excited that the mainstream TV watching audience is getting exposed to one of our favorite stories and maybe the comic as well. And they have kind of the same thing going on. They're really excited that their favorite actor, Norman Reedus, is now getting like a mainstream TV role and will be exposed to more people. Now, it's not to say that he wasn't famous. Of course, we talked about this earlier with the Boondock Saints movie and some of the other work that he's done. I do also just want to mention that Brad has not seen Boondock Saints. So shame on him. Brad, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I meant to do my research. Norman Reedus, is he Daryl Dixon?
He is indeed, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I like him. I think I've met a few of those people, actually. Met a few people like that in my time. I look forward to more of that character, and I look forward to watching Boondock Saints because Johnny highly praised it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a good action movie, and it's got a lot of other elements. It's got a huge cult following.
It's one of my wife's favorite movies. She loves Irish boys with guns.
Sweet. She should watch Sons of Anarchy then, too, if she likes Irish boys with guns.
Awesome show.
So real quick, we're going to do some Twitter. These are the Twitter names for the cool Norman Reedus fans that I've met. Bum Bum Girl has been like the contact person for me. Colleen, she's awesome. She helped me kind of gather all the names and answer some questions for me, and they're really cool. They want, they're smart and they get it, and I'm having fun on the Twitter with them. So that's Reedus fan, Reedus lover, Paige Cooks, Fake Six Pack, which I love that name. I'm not sure why. Sask Prairie Girl.
Because you wish you had one.
I have a 12-pack, dude, in
Me
my
too, I
fridge.
wish I had
Fanger with 3 R's, Cookied Angel, Shea Girl 22, Boondock Chickie, and Crash Disaster. So they've been awesome. They've been retweeting. I asked if we could be like the official podcast of the Norman Reedus fans, and they said yeah. So that sounds good. So I'd also like to shout out Cindy Miller, Literary Chick, Cujo317, Girl of Mayhem, and Harley Big Daddy. They're like awesome with retweets and just helping us get the word out and stuff. So all right, so here we go. Harley Big Daddy said Laurie has seen a ghost, which I thought was kind of a cool comment because he did it while he was watching the show, and that pretty much sums up the face that Sarah Wayne Callies had when Rick showed up. I thought that was pretty dead on. Victor again from Exploring the Multiverse said Merle is sure a handy guy in quotes. So you got a little. Thank you. So that's cool. Renerd said Ridip. He was referring to the frogs. Of course, Renerd is which podcast, Jordan? Talking Dead?
And I always get confused. It's either The Talking Dead or Walking Dead Cast. They're both great shows. You can find them both at forumforgeeks.com.
Who's doing that, Brad?
Yes.
The only frogs I can imitate are the Budweiser ones. Lynn, Ducky is Lost. This was a good one. She said the ending sequence was the first time the score really came to the forefront, and it was awesome. Very unsettling. So I know, Jordan, you're a big fan of the music of the show. Do you want to comment on that?
Sure. Well, two things. First off, I think it actually also came to the forefront in the reunion scene, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, the ending song was so neat. And if you are enjoying the music of the show, or you enjoyed my interview with Bear McCreary, who does the music we did on episode 3, check out bearmccreary.com/blog or just bearmccreary.com. There's a link on the sidebar. He, after every episode, I don't know if it's immediately after it airs or the next morning, but he posts a pretty in-depth blog talking about the instruments they used in that episode, the thought process behind those instruments choices and the musical choices, some of the different musicians that he's using. It's really cool to see how it all comes together. So if you're a musical nerd like I am at all, or you just have any even a passing interest in what goes into scoring a television show, you're gonna want to check that out.
Hey, I have a comment. I remember Jordan was saying that Bear said he was going to layer new things into each episode's open.
Yes.
And this episode, watching the open, was the first time I thought, well, this sounds a bit different. So I think there is something to that, actually. I think there was a little bit, it sounded a little busier this time, this open for this episode. We saw, maybe you guys talked about this, but did we see the character, I think his name was Jim in the book, at the camp? He was helping Dale with RV. Was that Jim, the guy with the ball cap?
They never say his name, but yeah, I'm definitely assuming that is Jim, especially because of the coveralls.
Yeah, the coveralls and the ball cap made me think, well, I think that's Jim. But yeah, I never heard his name either. But Jordan, I think that was Jim. What about you guys?
I want to say that they said his name, but maybe I'm getting confused.
Yeah, I kind of
Was there
say the
Joe?
same thing, John. I was going to say the same thing. That I think they mentioned him by name, like Dale says his name maybe, but I can't remember exactly where in the episode.
For some reason, I'm thinking they said Joe. We'll have to
Well,
check
maybe
that
they
one
did, and we all missed it. But it sure looked like Jim.
Folks, as
Whoever it was, if he was doing a Jim impression, it was dead on.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I guess if that's what they were going for, they wouldn't name him Joe. So I'm probably wrong.
Like this will really confuse everybody. Let's call Jim Joe.
So
According to IMDb, that is Andrew Rothenberg, and he is indeed Jim.
and there you have it.
Awesome.
So as we work back towards full cast strength, I would like to bring in Mr. Russell Latham. Hello, Russ.
Hi.
Russell?
Evening.
So, a couple more tweets. Lynn also said she really liked how Merle's story bookended the episode, which was a pretty nice comment there. I didn't think of it that way until she said it, that they did open and end with Merle, so that was pretty cool. While Mercy says he wasn't happy about Glenn being so reluctant to go with Rick. Did anybody feel that Glenn was out of character in this episode?
I did not.
No, I thought he continued to be sucky.
Nah.
I thought he was fine.
I thought it fit because Glenn is usually on his own, in and out, along the periphery, and for them to want to go back into Geek Central and go back through the hell they just got out of, I'm reluctant to do that too because I'm used to going back on my own terms, my own way.
I got a cool car.
Yeah. He had a cool car.
Yeah. I like when Rick was like, we can always steal another one.
So one more quick tweet. Again, the aforementioned Bum Bum Girl, probably the best Twitter name possible. She says that she's still not sure about Rick and Lori. She doesn't totally trust Lori yet. How long has it been since the outbreak happened? A month or two. Didn't take her long to mourn her husband. We've kind of gone over this enough, I think, at this point. What would you do in a zombie apocalypse if you thought your husband was dead type of thing? But she's still expecting maybe that swerve that's going to put us all against Lori again at some point. So then we got some ratings. I asked for out of 5 Buster ratings. Crash Disaster says it was awesome. That makes it a 5, right? Come on, you agree? Texician says 3 to 3.5 Busters. Character building show. Some questions answered. Not that much action. And we heard that a couple times in the voicemails too, that it wasn't a big action show. And we talked about this a little bit. Coming off of Guts, maybe everybody was expecting that to be the tone throughout. So I wonder where it goes from here in terms of, like we said, are they going to alternate? Is it going to ramp up towards the end?
Well, I have a feeling next episode is going to be back to the style of Guts, especially because they ended this episode with them, in Atlanta. So we got a lot of zombie action coming up.
And Lynn gave it 4.5. Luthen gave it a 4 to a 4.5. Aaron's PS3 gave it a 4. Says Merle redeemed himself, kinda, which I can agree with. And Alan, our Asian friend in the UK, gave it a Quattro, which was kind of strange, but that works because we know that means 4. So thanks everyone for all the tweets. Again, we're enjoying it. We love the feedback. Let's keep it going. All right, so that about does it for this episode of the Walking Dead TV podcast. What we're going to do is send it over to Jim. He's going to take care of our closing business. Then we're going to cut quickly to Jordan, who's going to preview the next episode of The Walking Dead. So if you don't want to hear the preview, you might want to cut out at that point. But think about that carefully, because after the closing music, we're going to run our new blooper reel, which has some pretty good laughs in it. So
Just like an old Burt Reynolds movie, we put all the funny stuff after the credits.
right.
We also all have gigantic mustaches.
First thing I'd like to mention is the nominations are being accepted at www.podcastawards.com. If you like what we do here on the Walking Dead TV podcast, or any of our family podcasts, Legion of Dudes have our Ways to Speak to the Devil, take the 30 seconds, go in there, nominate us for Podcast Award. We'd really appreciate it. It would really help us get the word out on our podcast and get it out there. If you'd like to send us a voicemail, the number is 516-468-7912. If you'd like to drop us an email, that's comments@walkingdeadtv.com. If you'd like to follow us on the Twitter, that's @WDTV Podcast. So thanks for joining us.
Jordan?
All right, remember, right after we close out the episode, we'll have a preview of episode number 4 and then some bloopers, but if you don't want to hear the preview, remember to cut it after we close. So until there's no room left in hell and the dead walk the earth, remember, Merle actually had quite the will to live in the end. You've got to hand it to him. Get it? You hand it to him? Yeah, they can't all be winners. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So next week on The Walking Dead, on Sunday night, we have episode number 4, Vatos. Vatos is co-written by Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead. That's going to be directed by Johan Rennick, who has directed 2 episodes of Breaking Bad. So that's a nice little pedigree right there. And the summary that AMC has supplied us with is Rick's mission to Atlanta is jeopardized when things go awry, and Jim becomes unhinged in camp.
Why does everyone hate Lori? Is it worse to kill a horse or a little girl? Where's Brad? All of these answers question.
On this episode of Soap.
Somebody's crapping in their seat.
Oh, Russ drops a key down a hole.
You glitched.
That was the good one. I don't
Russ dropped the key down. Oh,
Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say.
I've had that happen.
Am I even wearing pants?
Lori in the woods. Would you? The boys discuss their top 10 tips for sex in the woods.
All right, I think I might got one. I think I might got one.
Jim Joppa G Joppa Ja. Miso.
That's me. I'm Jim Joppa G. Joppa John.
Don't make me laugh. Remember the Bernstein?